Okay, prepare yourself. This is an off-world shocker du jour. Mars, they found hexagonal fossil patterns on the 3,154th day of Curiosity's journey onto Mars. That's the rover. And this is NASA, JPL, Caltech, all of them. They're reporting it in Nature today. Now this is the article today. This is on August 14th, 2023. Let me show you what they knew long ago, and I knew long ago. You see that? Crab on Mars, August 3rd, 2015, and they're all talking about it. This goes back to 2015. And I also talked about it, and I know exactly what it is, and I'll show you what it is right now. Okay, remember, this is a picture from today, and here's a picture of what that is actually, and it is Tendon. You see way out here? These are the tiny little fibers. These creatures were so enormous nobody can possibly explain it other than the fact that it was written about in history. And here's what this crab is right here. This is the crab that they talk about. And this is in 2015. And these pictures are from 2015. I reported this to everybody in 2015. That's an artery. That's a vein. All of these little pieces here with these little blocks are sarcomeres. All of the red dust is the byproduct of bloody tissue eroding, not in the presence of water. That's the key. There's no water there to speak of. So everything just turns into dust. And it actually gets sandblasted, and I can show you skin sandblasted down to the interstitium. I'm going to show you the sarcomeres right now to back me up. That's the artery. And those are the little crab legs that are the blood vessels that feed the muscle tissue. And these are the muscle tissues. It's right down here. All right, these are the sarcomeres. And they erode right on here because they're basically glued together. Now, this is a relaxed sarcomere. This is a contracted sarcomere. They go together. And all it has done is eroded. Now, they are fed with a ton of blood. And where the blood comes in is where the crab is. So here's the sarcomeres here. They've eroded. The red fleshy stuff is gooey and it just runs out. The other stuff is connective tissue. That's why they can pull together. You have to have tough stuff, and then you have weak stuff. The weak stuff is there, just eroded out. Arteries bring blood down to flush them in. Veins bring the used blood back. Now, I reported all this because I discovered mud fossils long ago. We got all new books being written about giants and our history, myths, mud fossils, electron flood theory, particle theory in space, ether. There's nothing but dust in space. It's just crazy to think that there's nothing out there and it's not going to affect the speed of light. We have no idea where we are in the universe. Everything is so wrong now that we have to start all over again, so that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, this is one of my mud fossils here. That's where the crab would be, but the legs are eroded off because we're in a wet environment. There, everything's real dusty. This is the muscle tissue and the sarcomeres. You can't see it because it's not the size of the crab. This is all the red blood that fed these muscles. It's exactly what it is. And this is the same thing. And this is where the bone was. And this is the muscle and tendon that attach right here to the bone. With that little ball right there. That ball is the attachment to a tendon right into the bone. That's the anchor. Now, I have so much on this. It's disturbing that nobody pays any attention, but that's the way life is. And this is also on Mars. This is a Mars Morse Code. They couldn't figure this out either. Same thing I said, that's interstitium. That is nothing but what's in your skin. And they're, oh, no. Actually, nobody even said anything. This is stretched skin. This is gathered skin. These are the balls that are the anchors. These are the straps that pull it and let it come back. So you can stretch all over and you come back because your skin is designed to do that. And what does your skin look like? If you could look at your skin, well, here's what it looks like right here. That's your skin, and that right below is all these balls and anchors and these little bags of fluid. So you can and squish it in and pull it back out and stretch it and do this and that, and it comes back to where the anchors were. How big are the anchors? Well, here they are right here. They're very small. That's smaller. You know, that's small. That this is even closer, and then this is right in all the gushy mess here. Now, these are the balls that erode out from here. This is not on Mars. This is right here on the Earth. This is United Kingdom. These are the balls that have eroded from the wall, the balls from the walls. And this was the skin at the top, or the mucosa. They call it one or the other. It coats organs, it coats your skin, it coats every single membrane in your body, consists of this layer of, it's literally a layer of membrane, is the way you want to think of it, because it separates you from the world up here, and then below is your body. Actually, let me show you, because this is a new organ. I've been talking about this and it needs to be investigated on a deeper level. Let's just take a look at it. Okay, this is the new organ. This is the interstitium right here that I was just showing you. And they didn't realize it was here because by the autopsy time it was flat and they didn't realize it. Anyway, it's a newfound organ. It's the biggest organ in your body. And I've been studying this since about 2010, somewhere right around there, because I found it in my mud fossils. It was in all of them. And I could see these balls. I mean, the things I have are huge. Like this is a hair follicle. This is a hair follicle. All right, here's what a hair follicle looks like. Just like that. Right there is where the erector muscle attaches. Right there. That makes your hair be able to do that. That right there is the sebaceous gland. That's the shaft of the hair, and it's a flat, one side is flat. That means it's a curly-haired person. Down at the bottom is the vein and artery. That's what it is right there. So this is like 500 times bigger than us. So this would be, if it was a person, it would be approximately half a mile tall or so. So this is not silly. This is not silly by any means. And if it's not looked at, that's the silly part. So we're going to do it ourselves. New books, new school, new everything. We just have to do it. Otherwise, it's never going to happen. You see this? This is Earth. So what we're looking at here is the United Kingdom, Huntington Beach. And these are all the balls that were eroded from the wall, which is this is the mucosa layer at the top, whether it's skin or the coating of an organ, I don't know. But everything has that same stretchability to it, so the organs can move around and doing this and that. Your body can stretch, your skin can stretch. And here's the balls. They're called Moki marbles. Now these are these same stones, only they're a little smaller, and this was in the desert in Arizona, in Utah, places like that. And this is nothing more than skin. And if you go underneath to the bottom of this is the basement layer of the skin, because everything has layers and layers and layers and layers and layers. It's amazing how many layers there are in your body. And all of the fleshy stuff has run off as mud. That's what it does on Earth. It runs off as mud because we're a water environment. And don't forget, we're a water environment. Mars is a dry place. And here's what happens. These are the Mars blueberries, they call them. They're the same balls. Everything's just eroded away. And it erodes away, and it literally gets sandblasted. You see this? These are those same balls. And the straps are getting sandblasted away and leaving the balls by themselves. And then eventually they'll just roll around somewhere. And that's what happened on the Mars blueberries. That's where you can see them here. And these are hard little buggers, and they're all over the Earth. I mean, everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. And those balls are these same balls right here. You see those little balls right in there? That's what they are. That's where they are. And again, this is newfound. That's a newfound organ. You see this? They didn't even know it was here before. They knew there was sort of some stuff here. This is really what the new organ is right here, is this fluid-filled highway. But it runs through this whole area of interstitium. And that's your immune system. And again, there's going to be books on everything. And there's not, as Max Planck said, science advances one funeral at a time. Well, we're going to lay out a whole series of funerals and write books on all of them. Because there's very, very little right. I mean, if you say the size of these creatures, and that Mars literally was alive as Earth is. Earth is the same thing. Petra is nothing more than exactly that, and they carved into it and made a treasury. I'm not kidding you. And above it is all muscle, and on the sides is all sarcomeres. You want to see Petra? Same thing. You see that? That's Petra. They carved into literally a big ball of blood. That was an artery packed with blood. They just carved right into it. And the sarcomeres are on the sides. See? Up above is this stuff, which is the connective tissue and the muscle. And here's what it looks like from far off. You see it? There's Petra right there. These are all sarcomeres. They're all sarcomeres. And these were all the blood vessels that ran through carrying arterial blood, and this was the main feed, which is exactly identical to the Mars crab. And they carved inside and made a treasury and all that stuff. Okay, this was a book I wrote long ago, well, 2015, because I couldn't find anybody to speak to about this. And I called it Mud Fossils, Velikovsky, and Minds in Collision, because a lot of my research is based on Velikovsky's research into our ancient past, Apollodorus, Ovid, Hesiod, all of those people, all of the mythology people. Actually, this is me right here, looking into Hesiod and the mythology and our no-toes and all of my CAT scan, DNA tested stuff. And we have to look at it deeply. We have to look at this deeply because you maybe don't care, but I do. They're saying this is millions of years in one picture. It is not. That right there, my friends, is a tendon. And that ball is the investment of the tendon. I think I just showed you. This little piece is the tendon. Very, very, very tough. You see all these little layers? Those are layers that can flex like this. This is the anchor. Never going to flex. It's just really, really hard and tough. These layers, because you're going to be moving all this, and the bone is up here. And here it is right here in my shop. I have, where did it go? I guess this is it. Right here, you see that? That's that ball. Hold on, I got a better shot of it. Somewhere in here, maybe not. Oh yeah, here it is. You see the bone? That's where the bone is. Now that's a bone just like having you. This ball right here is that white ball strap, and that strap comes right out and attaches here to where the muscle comes. The muscle just eroded away, all gone. The bone and all that just eroded away because that's cheap. This is tough. All right, and here's what it looks like. The tough spot is right here. This is the abrupt transition between only tendon and then muscle. See how pink it is and all the blood you feeding this? You see it? The pink stuff and all the blood feeding down. This is no blood whatsoever. And that is that ball right here. That's that ball. You see it? And this is the stalk, the main stalk. These were all those other layers were. Where did it go? Oh, it's hard to keep track of these things. Here it is right here. There's the main stalk right here. Bone gone. Muscles eroded. Tendon stayed in place. All those different layers, I showed you the same thing. This is not millions of years in one picture. So we have to start all over. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Because I found no appetite whatsoever in academia to discuss this. Like I said, this goes back, this is 2015. I reported all of that stuff, the Mars crab, the Mars blueberries, the Mars Morse code, everything. The red planet, red is ferrous oxides primarily. And it all dusted out. Plus, Velikovsky recorded on the collision between Mars and Venus. Here's Venus. You see that? That's an electrical discharge in concussion. And that concussion happened into Mars, and there's the Mars, I forget what they call it, the Marianas Trench or something, but it looks like it hit here and scraped all the way across there, and of course that destroyed Mars, blew its atmosphere off, destroyed everything, and created all of the mud fossils we see. Everything we're seeing is mud fossils. Everything here is biology, and here's what it looks like if you look at it close. This is where, like, a tendon would emplace. That's the main emplacement of the tendon. These little straps run off to go to the muscles. These are fibers, and these are what they call the abrupt transitions. There's one here, there's one here, there's one. I know this very, 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 very well because I have them in my own stuff. I've been doing this a very long time, my friends. Here, you want to see abrupt transitions? Here they are right here. The tendon, there's the abrupt transition between the tendon and it starts into muscle. Then, as it's come out, right about here, there's another abrupt transition where it gets less mineralized, and then another one about here where it gets a little less mineralized, and then it goes into primarily red gooey muscle. But there's a lot of connective tissues in the beginning. That's the whitish stuff, is the connective tissues. The red is the muscle. And the muscle does the pulling back and forth in the sarcomeres. So I think the best way to do this is, rather than to do this all in one day here, I'm going to leave it today for this, but I have so much evidence on this. And then we have to get into worlds in collision, which is Velikovsky, and that Venus was born from the red spot on on Jupiter, which is exactly what was written in the ancient texts. You read Apollodorus, you read Hesiod, you read Ovid, all of that stuff. They had the same story. We always thought it was crazy. And it does seem crazy. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm not saying it isn't. I am not saying it isn't. But I'm saying this is what is going to uncrazify it, is our new school and our new books. The books you're reading now, it's just, you're reading fantasy. I'm sorry, just the case. And we now are the rogerians. Now, what is a rogerian? It's an argument. I'm not kidding you. This is crazy. The rogerian argument. So you gotta schmooze these people into listening, because I'm telling you right now, it doesn't work. What I'm doing now, slapping everybody in the face, this is not going to work. But I'm done trying to schmooze. So here it is. But you're going to have to schmooze. You're going to have to say, look, this could be absolutely crazy. What do you think? Don't come on to them saying, oh, this is all real, this guy's got it, blah, 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 because they're just going to laugh at you. So you have to do the rogerian argument. The next video, we're going to go into how to approach people about this, because I'm telling you right now, and I'm not kidding you, I've had people being divorced and all kinds of very, very serious issues in their life as they woke up to the reality of what the life we live in. And what was our past? What was our history? What about religions and myths? And what about space? And what about everything? And what about how we're being used by the leaders, literally? And I'm going to just leave it at that. Thank you. I love you all. Goodbye. All right. That was a bad statement to make. Everybody is in a position of authority because of their knowledge. We are encroaching on their status. We're going to show that they just haven't been right about the things that we've been being told, and it's forcefully enforced that you follow those peer review stuff, or they just push it aside. That's what happened to me, and that's why I wrote the book about Velikovsky's and mind in collisions. This was the book I wrote, and this was a head that I tried to present to everybody. With Jim Burchell and Arlie Caudle found this in Kentucky, and I had all kinds of other stuff too, but I said there's no way they can deny this, and there is no way, but they did. So I wrote the book about this, and then now we got all the books that, and they're based on papers that I wrote years ago, and now some things have changed. Some of the books are going to have to change, but that's the way it works. There's revisions to everything. But right now, they're not even being allowed. So all of the mythology and all of the stuff that was written about, we need to reconsider. I just showed you. If you don't reconsider it now, then I have no respect for your ability to think. What I have shown, this was 2015. That's muscle sarcomeres. That's an artery. That's a vein. These are the little blood vessels. It all eroded out. The cheap stuff, the connective tissue stays. I showed you everything. So we're going to stick around and we're going to get deeper and deeper and deeper. And again, I understand, and we need to be compassionate about the way we discuss how invasive this is to the normal person's mind and into their status. Because it shows the geologists are not right. The people talking about space are not right. Even chemistry and light and all that stuff, CERN and all of them, that's just not right. People talking about space, saying space is a vacuum. It's not a vacuum. It's saturated with particles. These are all papers. My friend Paul Amatucci is writing these books now. And we're going to have all new books. They're very simple. They're very basic, easy to read. And then, of course, I'm going to get more and more involved. But we need to get into our history. I just showed you. These things are not, this is not silly. And what about Apollodorus? And what about Ovid and Hesiod and all that stuff? We have to start looking at things in a whole new light. Let's just go with that. All right, I love you all. Stay with me. Subscribe. Make sure you share this stuff. And use the rogerian argument that it's a soft discussion. Don't come say, like I did. It didn't work. It doesn't work. And now I am so pushed back at against, I don't think I can get seen anymore. So you're the ones that are going to have to do this. So that's, I guess, about the last thing I have to say. But all this stuff, I have so much stuff on this. I have thousands of pictures and documentation on how all of this happened. It was written in the past. They carved that when that was still moist. And they did all that stuff in those walls in South America and all that. We're going to go through all that and all those gigantic balls. All that was done when this stuff was moist. And I'm going to tell you right now, from what Velikovsky reported, it was not that long ago. So, and he was destroyed. He was a personal friend of Einstein. They were personal friends. Einstein died, it was reported, with Velikovsky's book open on his bed when he took his last breath. He was seeing what Velikovsky had to say about our past. And I think it's time we all to take a look at it. All right, last word, I love you. I love you more every day. All right? So let's just get this done. We are the Rogerians, my friends. All right, let's do it.